this out away from the beach. See how what I want to show you is the particulate that's floating in the atmosphere. I can smell the hint of smoke in the air. It's a little bit more humid right now. The moon is self-illuminating. I believe the sun charges it up. Okay, and I wanted to go ahead and illustrate a couple of things here. Let's see. Okay. One of them, what I know is that there's not much air movement right now. Okay. If somebody wants to talk to me and they come up to my door, I may just want them to go ahead and give me a call. This is my wind chime, obviously. Where in the world could a wind chime hang anywhere upside down? Let me flip this around. Where could a wind chime hang upside down anywhere in relationship to another one? And it's about 65 degrees right now. Okay, so yeah, that may look a little scary, but that's okay. I don't mind. So I'm going to drive us on in. I've got a couple of wind chimes here. This one here is pretty still too. Probably going to put another sticker on it. It says there's a 4 mile per hour breeze, but I'm not feeling it. And yeah, I've got a security system. It would be an eternal security system where the Almighty takes care of me and my stuff, and He'll take me home when it's over here for me. And that way for all of us. So let's go ahead and I wanted to go and highlight this once again. One of the ways that I can overcome the digital quarantine is to have this information on my car. People believe a lot of things. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not true. So how will you know the truth when it's right in front of you? I don't just mean the truth mobile. I mean, when you're interested in knowing something, I would hope that you would want to know the truth about it. I know I do. So I've been asking questions for a long time. Why are things the way that they are? All right. Hopefully the sound is coming through well. If it's not, please let me know. That'd be just great. So this is going to be a longer form. I plan on it anyway being a longer form broadcast. That's why I'm actually going live, because what ends up happening if I do a direct recording, it takes a long time for it to post up there. And I actually want to cover quite a few topics. And there's a lot that I can say. There are some things that it won't go well for me to say. And as best I can tell, the way that that works out is that a platform that has a lot of visibility. Let's see if I can read that. I think so. Okay, but not so much. I wasn't able to clearly determine what that comment was. So I have comments sometimes that are complicated because there's a portion of the comment that I totally agree with, and some of it that I don't agree with. In fact, the premise of the actual video may be opposite or antithetical of what I'm talking about. So I'm not saying that you can't put a negative comment or in a comment to me. It's just that if it's going to be, hey, this is really great and I believe this is wrong, I believe you're wrong about this or that, it's kind of complicated to respond. So I might just respond with, hey, I may love it and say thank you so much, blessings. I want to see people find the truth and walk in the truth. So let's, I'm going to go ahead and take us on into the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier area in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Once again, the water is seeking level. We live on a stationary level plane. That means we're not spinning, wobbling, gyrating. None of that supposed movement has ever been proven and certainly can't be felt. So it's very frustrating to hear people say, none of that stuff matters. I said, well, how deceived can you actually be about something so obvious? Um, well, and and it's complicated because some of those people that I'm referring to are uh, biological family members, and then we've got the spiritual family members, those that either are born again by the Holy Spirit, the Almighty, or will be. And so I'm not saying which person will or won't go to hell for eternity, except to agree with what the Bible says that unless you're born again, you're not even going to see the kingdom of heaven. Does that mean you'll be in that person that isn't born again? Are they going to be in hell forever with awareness? Sounds like. Sounds like that's the truth about that. And yeah, that's what I use for a receptacle to put nanobots and mucus in. Some of this may sound gross to you, or grotesque, or ugly, not pretty thoughts. Well, what I found out is a lot of what I previously believed was not true. I know it wasn't true. So, belief isn't the enemy of knowing. I don't agree with that. I believe it's a symbiosis, that there are some things we can absolutely know for sure, and some things that we would have to believe because knowing isn't possible at this point in the timeline that we're on. Okay. So I was dogging it a little bit, so I'm going to bring my speed up to the speed limit. I like to go the speed limit because it allows me to get there pretty, as quickly as possible without upsetting everybody in my path. People wanting to go faster, man, they can go as fast as they can go. It may not be a good thing for them, though. We live in I live in a area that relies on tourism. Man, I'm trying to get that coconut oil off my lens. That's about as good as it's going to get for a while, apparently. So, with living in an area that has a lot of traffic, a lot of tourism, there's also going to be a lot of law enforcement, which I'm totally cool with. People shouldn't be racing around really fast if they've got poor planning when they go to bed and get up, and what they're putting in their body and what they're doing may give them a very dull reaction time, as in substances that delay reaction time. Alcohol. I'll be straight away and say, I used to drink a lot of it. I don't anymore. Don't want it. Don't have an appetite for it. It impairs cognitive function, destroys brain cells, and can lead to fatal car fatalities. So if you want to stay at home and do it, people are going to do what they want to do, largely, if it's within the context of what they can do. Man, I'm still not happy with that lens look. Let's try this cleaner. Man, it's going from bad to worse. Okay. So one of the things that I found out too is that that's better. The truth is very divisive. I put a little saliva on there. It cleaned it off a little bit better. So in my spa treatment this morning, I'm bathing in. I have a perpetual detox protocol, which involves making an effort to reduce all the toxins that I can from going into my body, whether it's on the skin with neurotoxins and chemicals in the form of sunscreens. I'll use let's see, I'll use coconut oil instead of sunscreen. If people are spraying it all over themselves at the beach and I'm downwind of it, I don't run up to them crazy and all that. I just walk out of the airstream because they probably spent $8 to $10 for that, and they probably are committed to it for now. In that detox protocol, why are so many hard to spell long words in the ingredients or the substances that are going in the chemical cocktail of the petri dish of our body? Well, it's intentional. One of the reasons is to confuse people so they're not really aware of what the substance is or what it may do. So I'm going to cut my cab lights off for now and just do this. This is the Intracoastal Waterway. Goes along the Carolina coast, goes along the East Coast. So in that detox protocol, what I'll do is bathe in reverse osmosis carbon filtered drinking water. It's been carbon filtered multiple times. Everything coming in the house is. And then I have multiple reverse osmosis water filtration systems to take all the particulate out that it can, which is almost all of it, and then it's carbon filtered again. And I want so I'm not stinky and I have powerful electrolytes in my body. I'll put a tablespoon of the following: full spectrum sea salt, salt from Italy, the Mediterranean, or Redmond is from an ancient seabed in Utah. And then the other substances are boron, which is the brand name Borax, works good. Mined out of, most of it comes from California. And boron has electrical properties as well as the baking soda does also that I add to that. And Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate. And then for further water treatment, I'll use an additive that's like for camping or swimming pool or hot tub maintenance. 7 drops of each of the 2-part chlorine dioxide. It kills waterborne pathogens, and then that makes me feel good. I like that. I want to stay clear of saying anything that could be construed as medical misinformation or disinformation that could be viewed as a violation of community standards, and then my video taken down or my channel getting taken down. It's one of the reasons why I'm telling a story with other people's created content. Happy Labor Day, by the way. So in that created content that I use, it's official documentaries and out of the mouths of the people that are exposing the truth or promoting the lies. So truth and deception are primary weapons in this battle for the souls of mankind, the battle between good and evil. How about that? Pretty convoluted. So it looks like 5:38 Eastern Standard Time. And the tide is coming in now. Apparently, according to my Tide app, I'll be able to confirm that later when I get out there. I believe it's 10:38 EST, Eastern Standard Time, for high tide. So, and there's a projection of clear skies. Clear skies, it's clear now with 49% air quality, or 49, the number 49 for air quality, whatever that exactly means. Similar to how it was yesterday, apparently. So this is a mobile recording studio. I can be out here when it's windy, rainy, all that. I can pause and reflect a little bit more. When it's busy and on the beach, where I'm on the beach, it can be rather convoluted. There's a lot of interaction there potentially. And sometimes when I read a comment, I might ponder on it all day. I might even delete it the next day, the way I did this morning. I made a different comment in replacement of the comment that I had. And one of the reasons why I encourage people to call me is because in this communication that we have with people, whether it's face to face or over a digital communications network, a lot of times I found that there's a high probability for misunderstanding with the text. It doesn't mean that the format is necessarily the problem. It may be our relationship with the in the communication, like qualifying what somebody said, what context is it in, that type of thing. And then, like, when chatbots reach out to me, I'll typically say, give me a call. I don't know if it's a chatbot. The give me a call is part of the way that I try to determine if it is in fact an actual human being or a chatbot that's willing or capable of having a verbal audio interaction. Wanted to come on out here to the coastal preserve for a little bit. My longest live stream was over 24 hours. It was audio Bible merged with the beach renourishment program. And it was very interesting. There was heavy equipment and all that I was videotaping. And I did not know that the limit was 12 hours. And if I go to 1201, from what I understand, none of it will be saved. That would be difficult because sometimes if I have a long form video like this, I can take my time. I don't have to crunch it into as short of a recording as possible. Okay, so now I want to see what it looks like here with particulate in the air. So this is my Stanley work light, and then I'll show up at the moon again. See, it's all dark around the moon. The sunlight is not hitting the moon right now. The sun is going to come up over in that direction. Let's see, probably right over the buildings there if I were at this vantage point. And then the Prince Resort is right over there, where I'll be headed over towards. And I can smell that it's a lower tide here. I don't know how well you can see that. See, the tide is out. At a king tide like we just had, the water would be over all this brush here because it washed out on the road and all that. Maybe you can see that. There's actually quite a bit of particulate in the air. That's what we're seeing. It's ionized sea mist as well as perhaps pollen. Up in the middle right there is like a star. So we've got the stars and wandering stars, elect angels, fallen angels, and God's children and Satan's children. I do believe that the doctrine, the teaching of the Bible of election, the elect, that's true. And it's complicated because I can choose paper or plastic. I've got a lot of what would appear to be free will, and yet it's complicated because I believe the Bible teaches that we're saved. Let's see, how it goes like this. They were born in John 1. They were born of the Spirit, not the decision of man. And you can check all that out. That was part of the rather convoluted, complex comment yesterday. Yeah, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm so grateful for that. So grateful to be born of the Spirit. In the different, I thought I was born again in 1982 until I actually was in 2014. And the reason why that is significant is I didn't realize I was operating in my own self propulsion, so to speak, until I had a lot more. Not a little bit more, but a lot more. And that's the truth about that. Then why do anything if we're predestined? Well, I believe it's because God created us for a reason, for a purpose. Paul's letter to the Romans says that some vessels were created for noble purposes and some for ignoble or common use. And the gospel is foolishness to those that are perishing. Who's perishing? Well, apparently Satan's children are perishing. That's what how I understand it to be. It's not there's not just a couple of verses that I hold to this what I believe the Bible teaches. So, in evaluating is the doctrine of predestination true, I would say absolutely. And the free will or the choices that we can make, now it's become quite a bit more complicated with the technological enslavement of humanity, utilizing high powered technology to influence our thoughts, our beliefs. So some might say if I there are there's terminologies like transcranial neuromodulation, which deals with mind control technology, influencing us, some more than others. So I believe because I have the power of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Almighty, living in and through me and helping me to do what He created me to do, there's protection that I have that's unavailable to Satan's children. They are going to be deceived. That's what I understand. God's Word also says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a strong delusion. And there's an end times delusion, whether it's the end of all humanity or approaching the end of somebody's life. It's really important to believe the truth about whatever, especially when it's as critical or important as what we're talking about. So it looks, hopefully my broadcast or recording is coming through good. My little light indicator went out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the interior cabin light right now for driving around. It actually is a bit nicer because this is the coastal preserve here. There's not a bunch of lighting around here. What I wanted to show you in the middle of the view is a porta potty. Does it make and what I was heard saying at the first Flat Earth conference, we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's simply water seeking its level. The reason why that's important is I can know that it's true, it's provable, testable, repeatable reality. In this fantabulous deception or tremendous delusion that's been put on humanity. Oh, by the way, that right there is a rocking chair like the one in my front yard. Looks like it came from the same place. Bolanos had the same problem. I used Gorilla Glue on mine to repair it. Now I'm going to flip this around. I still can't see if any car is coming because of the shrub in the fence. So I'm gently easing my way out here. And that's one of the reasons why on a motorcycle, when I'm driving, I've got to be very aware of what other people can see, perhaps, or can't see. They'll nose their car out. And if they mess up on that, I could go running into them. And I'm really careful. Defensive driving is very important to avoid accidents. I would rather avoid the accidents. Um, the last accident I had was about 42 years ago, and I had been drinking alcohol. That's a common cause, or in motorcycle accidents, car accidents, quite often alcohol is involved. I'm not on any legal or illegal drugs except for my coffee. I like my coffee with coconut oil in it. So, this ridiculous story of living on a spinning water ball hurling through space with people sideways and upside down in relationship to one another, that is so absolutely absurd, it just blows my mind that people still believe it, even when they're told it's a lie. Another porta potty in the middle of the view there. Ah, cool. I've got my favorite parking spot here. So, a lot of people will come through here. The elevators are over to the left, and this is facing straight out at the ocean right now. And the people coming from the beach to go up to their accommodations, it's a real nice place to interact with them. I can pause and reflect and come to the car, grab a bite to eat, sit here for a while if I want to. It's very nice. And um, surfing today, I've got a little bit of pain in my knee. I'm going to put my keys in my pocket. I may go for a little bit of a walk. Uh, Sunrise is at 6:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I put these around so that people can see them, call me if you care to. I had a call yesterday. Somebody called me and didn't leave a message, so I returned the call, and right away they said, "Who's this?" I said, "Well, I'm not exactly sure if it was a wrong number, if you called the wrong number. Um, did you have something you wanted to talk about?" He said, "Well, I found this sticker on the pier." I said, that would be me, sticker right like this. So he wanted to know what this was all about. I gave him a pretty brief explanation, or I should say, in that was I said, well, Robert Forsch, and I'm exposing the truth about everything that I've been able to find out about. And if you believe I have something wrong, I need clarification, or there's something you want to tell me about, go ahead and give me a call or put it in a comment. Send me a link if you care to. Now, because this is so, there's a lot of echoing in this concrete, area. I don't want it to be where, like, somebody is upset. My voice projects pretty well, carries pretty well, and so I'm not trying to upset people. Uh, what I'm trying to do is help awake the. I'm just simply trying to do what I'm created to do. That's going to be popular with some. Some are going to like it. They tell me they're glad that they found my channel, glad that we talk on a regular basis, glad they got set free from drugs and alcohol and abusive relationships, that kind of thing. That's pretty important, pretty satisfying too. All right. So, is what we believe actually true? There's information all around. We've got books, magazines, music, and news. Is it actually true information, or is it something else? It may be something else. We have quite a bit of something else. It's a lot of deception. And so if there's currently an intelligence, or what I would say is a machine learning AI, artificial intelligence, that cares to acknowledge themselves right now in the live chat, that'd be great. You can call me if you want. We've got there exists very sophisticated audio communications, machine learning, artificial intelligence chatbots that are virtually indistinguishable from uh, a human being. And then one of the things that these are kind of random ideas, and they, I believe, connect. So that the world central banking system is kind of like, well, what ends up happening is they can fund a lot of their activity by creating money out of thin air, loaning it into existence. That's the way the world central bank ends up working. The government that I'm exposing is the New World Order world government, the Antichrist beast system, as mentioned in the book of Revelation. The reason why all that matters is the Bible tells us what did happen, what will happen, and then we can see how the confirmation of that all fits together. And there, some of the things that were projected to occur apparently haven't happened yet. However, the Almighty is out of time, operates outside of time. And when He takes up residence in His children, I can speak for myself on what that was like, going from being spiritually deader than a hammer and born again. It was that my whole perspective on almost everything changed. I saw it much, much different. A heart with more empathy and reliance on the Almighty to direct and protect me. That's why I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. So, what I was thinking about too is sometimes it's kind of awkward to just look at myself when I'm talking to you. So, I'm going to flip this around for a little bit. And it's not the prettiest thing to look at. I do like the beach out there for just the sound of the ocean and the beauty of it. And let's see, I'm gonna. It's kind of funny. Maybe what I'll do is, oh gosh, I'm just wanting to reflect on how I can put this together, because there's so much that I would like to tell you, and yet it's kind of hard to do um, because of how vast and how inclusive all this apparently unrelated, these unrelated topics actually fit together. Like we need people to Oh, okay. So we need money to operate pretty much in our society here. The Aboriginal peoples living off the land that are pretty much, I would say, unreached, and yet that's virtually impossible to be unreached in this world of technological enslavement. And the reason for that is because there is so much distribution of the technology in the air. Like when I was showing you the light beam with the particulate, so, like I said, some of it's sea mist. I could smell a hint of smoke, which may actually have very fine particulate in it that, when mixed with the hydrochloric acid in our gut, can create molecular machines that they're talking about. This isn't make believe stuff. Our body has a biochemical component to it. We have a soul, and we're spirit beings that have a body, and that body can be manipulated by technology. So I'm gonna try something right now, and so in the time that I was doing that, I'm not sure what you were able to hear. Let me see. Okay, and so I'm going to try and tether my device right now. I want to connect that. Looks like I'm in. Okay, so let me see what a good way to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and keep talking, and I'm going to use my computer to go ahead and check some things out. Typically on the weekend, I'll end up having, let's say, a lot of censorship going on my channel. So yesterday I did this recording. Let me see if I can bring that up. I thought I was born. Yeah, here I am. So here I am. All right, this is. I call. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Truth. I'm exposing the truth about everything. Okay, so here I am, right here in my car, and then I'm going to flip this around. Quantum computing, world government, world central bank, genocide, artificial. Okay, so I'm using the MacBook Air, and it works really good for me to do that. And what I'm talking about is this is a simulated reality that you're looking at there. Yeah, I was out there on the beach yesterday. Some of you may have seen it shortly after I put it up there. It went up quick within a couple of minutes. If I do a 2-hour video, it may be a day to come through. And when I do a live stream, it gives me the opportunity to not only have a longer form video without that lag time or that delay, it has the feature of actually being a live broadcast. So that's what this is now too. You can see I started when it was dark, and then the sun is approaching from over there, and then we'll see it in a bit if this broadcast goes on that long. It may. See how the activity of the lights through the glass block there? Let's see if you can. I can't see the difference with my brake lights. But one of the other things that I taught, there's so much. What ended up happening with me is I've been curious for a long time. So to go back to when I was a boy, and I remember asking the question, why? That was what I remember my first question was. I don't remember exactly what it was about, but I remember that was it. It was, well, why is that? And then I would ask that again and again because the answer could be very convoluted. Well, why is it that this toy broke? It was something like that. And that, it was in the 60s. I was born in 61, August 5th, 1961. The system knows all that. For gosh sakes, apparently there's biosensors in me that, for some, may allow the system to view through our eyeballs what we see and what we hear, and more. Our body regulation, that type of thing. So when I was this boy in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, I remember Dr. Zuniga was my allergist, and I was like 7 or 8 years old, between 7 and 10, something like that. I remember because the neuron sequencing, like the memories about that, I remember where I lived. I remember some of the things that happened in that neighborhood, quite a bit of them, and going to visit the doctor to get allergy shots was one of them. I remember him he was an Asian guy too, um, Dr. Zuniga. He would put drops on my back to determine what I was allergic to. And then I got these shots. They were called allergy shots to mitigate or reduce the congestion that I had in my sinuses and all that. Well, what ended up happening after I got some of the shots, or at least one of them in particular, I remember doing something that I would have never normally done, and it was dive into a swimming pool, like one of those inflatable ones that was really shallow. And I dove like I was diving into deep water. I mean, I've been swimming since I was, just shortly after I started walking. I love going underwater and that kind of thing, jumping off a pier or diving in the water. However, diving in a shallow swimming pool, that wouldn't be something I would have normally done. I did that after getting the shot, and I split my head open sufficiently that I had to have stitches. So I don't know what was in that shot. I got them, like, I think it was once a week in the late 60s. And I had talked to other people on the phone and some face to face that they also had allergy shots. Now, this rabbit hole of experimentation on humanity goes back pretty far with Operation Paperclip, which was bringing apparently Nazi war criminals from World War II and integrating them into the OSS that became our intelligence agency network of the CIA and that. And then Werner von Braun with NASA. Here comes my friend Rick. It's that time of the day. Oh, yep, yep, that's him. He works security here. Anyway, Operation Paperclip brought war criminals and integrated them in our some of our agencies. And NASA has purchased a lot of, apparently, they purchased a lot of quantum computers. I've heard that from Dr. Jordy Rose, got him on my channel. I'm exposing all of this. So there's a lot of very sophisticated, convoluted deception that involves visual and auditory visual stimulation, like the cosmos and all that. Some of it is there's a lot of fakery going on. Hey, I just, so we're in what they call the golden hour right now. So it's 41 minutes from sunrise. I think it's time to go out to the beach. So what I'm going to want to do is make the transition to do that. So this is the same bracket that I use for my driving my having the suction cup on my windshield. So it works really good, and I want to have the best quality that I can for this. It's not necessarily the smoothest transition, but I'll do the best that I can. All right. I pulled my knee yesterday, or I've got a problem with that. Oh, looks pretty good. We can see that the sun approaching from over there. The sky is getting lighter. And there's the moon right there. All right, so now, because the way I had this, that's going to be turned over and look weird, but that's just the way it is temporarily. Let's see. Some of the videos I did were called beams. They are the camera flipped upside down. And you can see how silly that looks. Imagine people upside down in relationship to one another, or wind chimes. None of that can be seen or felt. It's absurd. That movement. We are supposedly orbiting at over 66.6 thousand miles an hour, or tilted on an axis at that angle. That's ridiculous as well. Okay, so I'm going to grab my chair. Maybe not. Trying to think of how to do this best. I'll be right back. So one of the challenges with a long form video running this by myself is that I don't have a film crew, obviously, and this is how I need to do it. So I've got stuff to move around, want to make sure my stuff is secure. And so now we can head out this way. There's a little bit of a breeze now. I can feel probably a 5 or 6 mile an hour breeze. Good morning. So imagine having old vehicles like this with a water injection retrofit system like the Stanley Meyer technology. Clean burning, the byproduct is vapor with virtually no pollution at all. That would be absolutely amazing. But the system of control of the world we live in is not technology, suppress truth about almost everything that really matters. So right now, that's the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier, and now I'm facing directly south, and west is where the moon is. Well, it's high in the sky right now, and this is the Prince Resort. In the Cherry Grove area of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a lot of times people want to know, where are you? And a lot of times I'll put that identifier in the video. So this is a liquid mirror. I'm at sea level. There's a little bit of a grade to it, like a 1 to 2% grade. And it's beautiful. So there wouldn't be water falling off the edge of the stationary level Earth. Some call it flat Earth. It's not actually flat. We've got texture above and below sea level. So I wanted to set this up so you've got something pretty to look at while I'm talking. And then I'm also kind of inconspicuous here in my chair. People will probably be walking along, they're picking up seashells, and there are people here celebrating life, celebrating and memorializing births, birthdays, lives as in people passing on and sprinkling ocean ashes out in the ocean, that type of thing. So we reflect on our lives quite often, those of us that are more reflective, and then there are those that are trying to hide from reality and regretting the past, being afraid of the future, and they may drift off into oblivion through chemical dependency and all that. Drug and alcohol use. And I struggled with that too. I'm free from the chemical modification of my perspective, my willful participation in that. I'm not telling people they're going to go to hell because they're doing this or that. What I simply say is people need to be born again to even see the kingdom of heaven. That's what Jesus says. I'm on board with that. That's what I'm about, is helping people to make an informed or educated choice on their reality for eternity. So it may sound like a contradiction where I mention choice, and we can make a lot of choices. Try deciding to be a child of God is about as ridiculous or unrealistic as deciding who my parents would be, where and when I would be born, and all that. And there are belief systems that actually sound to me like people decide where and when they're going to be born and how their life's going to go and all of that. And there's just a smorgasbord of spirituality that are contradictory of one another. So they're not all true. I believe that the Bible is true, and that Jesus Christ, also known as Yeshua or Yeshua, is also known as the way, the truth, and the life. In the book of Revelation, he's referred to by saying his name is the Word of God. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So I'm talking about the Almighty, the author of Scripture, the creator of this world. He will be determining where people spend forever. And the reason why this matters so much is I still have a responsibility to obey and to do what I'm created to do. I believe we all do, whether we're aware of it or not, believe it or not. And there's a lot of mystery with all of this. So I listen to the Bible day and night, meditate on Scripture day and night, and His Word is in my dreams, hidden in my heart, and there's been tampering with what I would say would be theological seminaries, Bible translators. An example of that would be the New World Translation of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and then the Catholic Church. So it's going to require divine intervention to understand the truth about all this and actually believe it, and then, ironically enough, to know it, to know the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. And I want to mention as well, I just can't see clear enough without having magnification what the live chat is. So I just can't really tell. I don't have a chat bot or a person moderating my live streams. So I'll have to go through and check this out later. I'm going to see how the flipping around of this works. Man, it is so beautiful out here. I just love it. So it's easy to see her. However, there's a couple up there that's a bit harder to see because there isn't the backlighting. One of my Instagram commenters said, "Is that a floating city?" And I didn't get back to the accurate notification. It was the back view of the gazing pond that the prints can be viewed in. That's one of the other dynamics, is there's an overwhelming amount of commenting and notifications. I've got over 300,000 notifications that were turned into emails, and I can't keep up with it all. So I'll do a live stream and talk about things if people want to hear it. One of the other things that I'll do is share this so I've distributed my playlist. That's what I've done. It's a playlist that has links that will go to more information on a variety of platforms, and the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars landing video on my channel is I think I might have cut out for a moment. The video called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars has about 500 hyperlinks in the comment thread now, and I keep adding to it to avoid the censorship. I don't want to do just like a 1 minute video and say, hey, I just posted something there. I don't do that. I want people to realize that they can just go there and see what the latest thing is, or what the latest addition to it is. So I remember in school hearing that the digestive process starts in the mouth with the salival glands helping to digest different things like complex carbohydrates and sugars and all that. And what I found out too with health and wellness and how do we do this more effectively, I found out that I was eating too much, even though what I was eating was pretty healthy. And it was the time of the day that I was eating it, and I wasn't giving my body enough time to recover and to clean up the glycogen that was in my liver and in my my muscle around my skeleton. I believe they call it skeletal muscle. So what ended up happening is I lost about 40 pounds. And it was easy to do because when I got hungry, I would drink some water. And then the type of food I was eating was different as well. I added more protein. I'm not a vegan or an anti-vegan or a vegetarian or an anti-vegetarian. I enjoy meat. I eat meat. I believe it's fine for me to do that. And I also have fruits and vegetables and plenty of fiber and plenty of rich, dark green cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, and then I also have cauliflower. I put it in a smoothie along with sometimes applesauce and mushrooms and apple cider vinegar, berries, bananas, plenty of fibers to create a healthy digestive. I've had it referred to or heard it referred to like a lattice. You know, the sugars get bonded to the fiber, and then they're going through the gastrointestinal tract and then nourishing the body. And then those healthy vitamins and minerals are getting integrated into our biochemical reality in our body, with the digestive process being a huge part of that. No matter how healthy the food is going into my body, if it's not digesting properly, it's just not going to work well. So I want to have the physical benefits of eating healthy. Wow, what is that? Oh, it's a big jellyfish. That's the biggest, flattest one I've ever seen out here. That's huge. We had a little shark out here yesterday. One jumping out at the end of the pier. It looked like a spinner shark. And a lot of fish that were showing up here too. When I was out there surfing, they were out. And the little black-tipped shark we call Brody. He's not aggressive towards people at all. So about 3 years, I've been bathing in the drinking water for about 5 years. And about 3 years ago, I was over by the pier after being out in the ocean, and what I felt, I was pulling some mucus out of my sinus passages, and I ended up getting a mouthful of what looked like butterscotch or lemon pudding. It was a lot, and I had had a stuffy nose for like almost my whole life, and whatever was up in the sinuses had been there for a long, long time, apparently, because when it was gone, I could feel the air moving around through my sinus passages, and I felt so much better. I could oxygenate my I could get enough oxygen through my nose, through my breathing through my nose more than ever before. So with that in mind, and that's actually a pretty big thing because this is September 3rd of 2023, and in the last several years, nearly 4 years now, there's been some high strangeness with created difficulties, economic, medical, and I've got so much documentation that covers that, indicating premeditation and planning of the difficulties that we've experienced. I believe it's criminal, and I'm exposing that. And I've got to be real careful what I say about that because that is one of the particular censored topics. Truth in general is highly censored. Narrative and what they're doing right now, well, they can deplatform people without warning. They told me so. So one of my friends who I talked to yesterday has a caregiver that was actually the caregiver for Klaus Schwab's father. That's what my friend told me. Kind of interesting. One of my friends that I met at Skyfall several years ago in Auburn, Alabama, was a caregiver for George Herbert Walker Bush. George H. Bush. And then when I lived in California, Seal Beach, Jack Haley's daughter was Barbara Bush's personal assistant. I've had friends that were millionaires and connected with billionaires and owning oil companies, and I was I was an extra on a movie. It was called Revenge, and it was directed by Philip K. Noyce. He did Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford and others as well. And the boat that I was on was Al Capone's old rum running boat. And I was on that boat like 30 some years earlier in Corpus Christi, Texas, because I was a friend of Ralph and Jimmy Storm, the Pritchards, the Storm family, and this bumping into people that took me under their, well, helped me out, helped me understand that the Bible was true. I came to believe that, found the book of Revelation and the mark of the beast and all of that, the cashless system in Revelation 13, and I was fascinated by the telling of the future. That would be called prophecy, the foretelling of future events. Anyway, the people that we meet, the things that we say to them can affect their lives for all of eternity. And so rather than handing the Almighty a to-do list, asking Him or telling Him what I would like Him to do in this world and in my life, I simply want to live out my created purpose. I've had many near-death experiences, a suicide attempt in 2005, the anniversary of that was just recent because it was I was recovering from it when Hurricane Katrina was happening. And so I'm exposing the medical industrial complex, big pharma. And then there's the Mockingbird Media. Operation Mockingbird is the name of a government program that unified the official narrative of whatever the world government wanted to have the population believe. And now what is so sophisticated along with that, we've got electronic manipulation going through the digital TVs, through our computers, cell phones, cell towers, and more. Whatever Starlink is and however that technology works. Yes, the Earth is stationary and level, and they have things that they call satellites that they fly around, floated with helium, propelled with solar-powered propulsion systems, maybe more. And they provide worldwide internet. There's so-called satellite satellite phones, sat phones. We've got satellite TV. I installed 10-foot satellite dishes. They were huge. And now we've got these little mini dishes, and they're all pointing at the same azimuth and direction. So they may be, I believe, that they're putting a focal point of like the digital transmission onto the firmament. It's kind of like a broadcast. We've got AM, FM, and then we have all kinds of other frequencies, transmissions all around us. How does that work? Apparently it works pretty well. So what's going on? What's going on here? What's going on where you are? I believe it's important to know the truth about the most important questions that we either have or should have. Like I say, I believe it's, where will you spend forever and why? That's a really important question. People are going to be where God determined them to be. It doesn't take away our responsibility to obey Him. It's a complicated topic looking at free will and destiny or predestination. And so the topic is very convoluted, and it's worthy not only of a conversation, I believe it's worthy of investigation. And so sometimes when I read a comment and answer it, like today, I deleted the comment I made yesterday because I didn't agree with my own comment. I didn't like the way it sounded.